Second leg, coming off the ridge, Havers went to ground for 11 seconds, listened, then rerouted them left by 15 degrees. Because a Delta observer team had been positioned at the obvious approach to catch anyone taking the easy line, Farrier had not seen the team. Havers had heard a radio squelch at 400 meters. The other pairs behaved the same way. Tarrant and Bleasdale went south together and did not speak for the first hour. 2 of the junior troopers went east with a compass and a chocolate bar between them, and neither of them broke a sweat. Corbin arrived at the truck at 7:20 with a mug of coffee in his hand. He looked at the sheet. He said, "Farrier's an old hand. He's done this ground before. I'd bet money on it." Duros said, "He hasn't." Corbin said, "Then he's got a boy who reads a map. That's one boy. That's not a troop." Vec did not answer him. Corbin poured his coffee out onto the gravel. He did it slowly, the way a man does when he does not want anyone to notice he is doing anything. He said to nobody, "Tomorrow's the compound. The compound is where this course is decided." Men Corbin had called children in fancy dress the day before had walked 20 kilometers of unknown American ground in the rain, with a paper map and a bearing, and every pair had come in inside 4 hours of a 6-hour standard. They had done it without complaint, without a radio call, and without a wrong turn any of the observation teams had seen. Halbrook, standing 10 meters away with the green pen in his shirt pocket, wrote a line in his notebook and did not look up. Corbin did not sleep that night. He set the problem himself at 2200 in the briefing room, with a coffee cup steaming in front of him, and Duros and Vec on either side, and Halbrook at the back with the green pen and his notebook open on his knee. The problem was this: 4 American observation posts, 2-man teams from the Delta cadre, and 1 from an attached Special Forces reconnaissance troop, would be in position by midnight in the mixed woodland behind the compound complex. Their locations were known to the cadre and not to the visitors. The British troop, working in pairs, would insert on foot from a start line 2 kilometers to the east at 0100 hours. The task was to locate the American observation posts, mark each one by placing a physical token on or beside the observation team's kit without being detected, and withdraw to the pickup point. The men in those OPs are the best passive observers in the United States military. They are not there to catch you, they are there to demonstrate that you cannot get past them. Tarrant and his spotter, a lance corporal called Weir, took the northern lane. They stepped off at 0105. They moved for the first hour at a rate a walking man could not have kept up with, because they were not walking. They were flowing. 1 man forward, 1 man still, then the still man forward and the moving man still, in a rhythm that did not disturb a single branch on ground neither of them had ever seen in daylight. Tarrant led on smell and sound as much as on sight. It had rained on Tuesday and the leaf mould was quiet. Weir carried 3 smooth grey stones in a chest pocket, each the size of a plum, and he had picked them out of a creek bed 40 minutes into the walk. Vec's observation post was on a rise above a small dry gully, well sighted, with good cover from 3 sides and a natural window looking east through low pine. Vec and his partner had been in position since 2230, and neither man had moved in more than 4 hours. Vec was, without exaggeration, one of the best passive observers on the base. He was so still that at 0247, when Tarrant crawled the last 3 meters of the approach on his belly, with his rifle laid flat across the inside of his forearms, and his breath pushed sideways into the crook of his shoulder, Vec did not hear him and did not see him. Tarrant placed a smooth grey stone on the flap of Vec's Bergen. He placed it as gently as a man places a coin on a sleeping child. Then he backed out on the same line he had come in on, and Weir did the same, 40 meters to his east, and they were on the ridge and moving north before Vec registered anything more than the ordinary noise of the wood. At first light, Vec stood up to stretch, and the stone rolled off the flap of his Bergen and landed on his boot. He did not say anything for a full 10 seconds. He picked it up. He looked at it. Then he picked up his radio and called it in a voice that was very carefully flat. The other 3 observation posts called in within the next 12 minutes. 4 posts, 4 stones. Not one American observer had seen or heard a British operator on the approach or the withdrawal. At 13:45 on Thursday afternoon, Corbin walks the British troop through the compound one last time in slow time. He points out the choke points. He explains the reactive targets. He tells them, once without any edge in his voice, that if they hit a no-shoot, the run is failed and there will be no rerun. Duros has the master stopwatch on the lanyard around his neck. Halbrook is standing at the observation tower with his notebook open and his pen uncapped. Sowinski is on the tower with him. Vec is on the ground with the safety staff at the corner of the courtyard watching. 1400. Tarrant and Weir are already in position. They have been in position for 4 hours. Their overwatch point is a raised earth berm at 1140 meters from the rear window of the first floor, and Tarrant has been on his glass, in the same posture, breathing the same slow breath, since 1000. The rifle is a suppressed 7.62 with a cold barrel. The target, a steel plate the size of a dinner plate, will only rise into the rear window at the moment the entry team crosses the front threshold. The shot has to be first round, cold bore, and it has to happen inside the first 10 seconds of the clear, or the courtyard element on the ground floor is considered compromised. Tarrant taps the bolt of his rifle twice with the pad of his index finger. The entry stack is on the front door. Bleasdale is 1, Havers is 2, Farrier is 3, Ash is 4. They are not saying anything. Bleasdale is not humming. The breech charge is set. Duros is on the tower with his eye on the stopwatch and his thumb on the button. Corbin says, "In your own time." Bleasdale nods once. The charge goes. The door is gone before the sound of it has left the courtyard, and Bleasdale is through with Havers on his shoulder and Farrier on Havers. The first room is left. It goes down in 1.5 seconds. 2 threats, 1 no-shoot, no error. The hallway is a straight cover and they flow into it. Second room right. 1 threat, third room left, 2 threats and a no-shoot pushed against the corner. Fourth room, the courtyard side, cleared through the doorway without entry because it is empty and the geometry says so. The stack pivots to the stairwell. Tarrant's plate has risen into the rear window at the same instant Bleasdale crossed the threshold. Tarrant does not adjust, he is already on it. He breathes out, he takes the shot. The plate rings. 1140 meters first round, cold bore, in a 9-knot crosswind that is not steady. Weir calls the hit, and Tarrant does not move. The stack is on the first floor. Room 1, 2 threats down. Room 2, a no-shoot in the doorway. They read it and go around. No shot fired. Room 3. 3 threats in a mocked-up bedroom with a reactive target behind a wardrobe. Havers takes the wardrobe threat through the wardrobe door, with 2 rounds through the panel, at the height his brain had already told his hand it would be. The stairwell down. Courtyard cleared. Rear door open. Farrier calls the clear on the net in 3 words. Duros's thumb comes down on the master stopwatch. He looks at the number. He does not say it out loud. He walks it down from the tower. He walks it to Halbrook first, because Halbrook is the one with the pen. He shows it to Halbrook. Halbrook looks at it, and then Halbrook writes the number in green ink on the top line of a fresh page and turns the notebook around and holds it up. 4 minutes, 11 seconds. The board behind him says 10, his own permanent marker from his own hand. Halbrook says, in a voice with nothing in it, that is the fastest clear ever recorded at this schoolhouse. By more than half, Duros says quietly from Halbrook's shoulder, and a cold bore hit at 1140 at the point of entry, first round, in a 9-knot crosswind, on a plate the size of a dinner plate. There is no cheer. There is no whoop. The British troop is standing on the tarmac outside the compound with their weapons on safe and their kit off, and Bleasdale has already sat down on a low wall to take his gloves off, and Havers has already got the brass compass out of his chest pocket without knowing he has done it, and Farrier is walking, without hurry, toward a metal flask he left on the observation tower rail 3 hours earlier. Corbin is standing in the middle of the courtyard. He is looking at the board. The number on the board is his own handwriting, and it says 10. He does not move for a very long time. Halbrook clicks the pen. He caps it. He puts it back in his shirt pocket. He walks past Corbin without a word, and he goes to write his after-action. Read that number again. 4 minutes, 11 seconds, on a course whose senior instructor had told a room 2 mornings earlier that the men who were about to run it were playground soldiers. The after-action was in the common room. It was the same wooden table, the same metal mugs, the same paperback of Homage to Catalonia still sitting on the arm of the chair Farrier had left it on Tuesday morning. Corbin had not moved the book. Nobody had. Halbrook read the numbers off the top sheet of his notebook. He read them in a flat voice, without emphasis. He read the Hydra Times, all of them. He read the Land Navigation Times, all of them. He read the count of American observation posts marked in the night stalk. 4. He read the compound clear. 4 minutes, he said. 11 seconds. He said, that is a schoolhouse record by more than half. The previous record was set by a ranger platoon in September. That record is now retired. He said, the Cold bore engagement at 1,140 meters, first round on a plate the size of a dinner plate in a 9-knot crosswind, is the longest first-round Cold bore hit recorded at any exercise on this base. He said, the after-action will reflect that the visiting troop passed every station on this course at or above the highest standard on record. There is nothing further from me. He clicked the pen. He put it in his shirt pocket. He looked across the table at Corbin, and he waited, and he did not say the thing he could have said, because he did not have to. Corbin's kit box was on the floor by his chair. The lid was closed. He did not open it. He did not reach for the laminated photograph inside it. He put both hands flat on the wooden table in front of him, and he looked at his own hands, and he opened his mouth once, and he did not speak. The book was 6 inches from his left hand, the Orwell paperback. He looked at it for a long moment, and he did not touch it. Outside, the British troop was moving toward the helicopter pad. The Chinook was turning on the tarmac, and the rotors were making the puddles jump. They walked out in the same loose file they had walked in on Tuesday morning, kit bags over one shoulder, rifles slung, nothing to prove and nothing left to say. Havers walked past Corbin's window with the brass compass still in his right hand. He was not looking at the common room. Bleasdale was humming Quim Ronda under his breath, and he was not looking at the common room either. Tarrant walked past with his rifle case and did not turn his head. Farrier came last. He carried the metal flask in his left hand and his kit bag in his right, and as he came level with the common room door he stopped. For 1 second, and he put the flask down on the step, and he picked it back up, and he kept walking. He did not look inside. Sowinski was standing by the door. He watched the troop pass him. When Farrier came level with him, Sowinski said something very quietly, in Polish, and then, without turning his head, he translated it into English for the benefit of the American, who was standing 3 feet inside the doorway with his hands flat on a wooden table. He said, Sowinski said, they did not come here to prove anything. He said, they came because you asked them to. Then Sowinski said, in his own voice and not in translation, you should not have asked them to, Master Sergeant, if you did not want to know the answer. He walked out. Corbin stood up from the table. He walked, on legs that were working correctly, out through the common room door and across the compound, and he stopped at the edge of the helicopter pad, at the yellow line. The Chinook was loaded. The last British operator was climbing the ramp. Corbin stood at the edge of the pad, and he counted them, one at a time, the way an instructor counts men back onto an airframe. He counted 21. Every man he had called a playground soldier, walking past him onto the aircraft in the North Carolina rain. He counted them under his breath, and by the time he got to 21, his mouth was moving without any sound coming out of it, and it stayed that way for a long time after the ramp came up. Wade Corbin had been right about one thing, and if you had walked into that room without knowing anything else about the man holding it, you might well have looked at him and at the paperback on his lap and thought exactly what Corbin thought. That is the trap the room was designed to spring, and it sprang. He was right about the tea. He was catastrophically wrong about the men who drank it. That is the whole lesson, and it is worth saying plainly, because the schoolhouse record will not say it. The men who look least like operators in the modern iconography of what an operator is supposed to look like, no beard, no swagger, a paperback, a mug, are often the ones who are. The reason for that is not mystical. It is that the things they have made into weapons are the things that do not photograph. Silence photographs as nothing. Patience photographs as boredom. A 4-hour still hunt through American woodland at night photographs as an empty forest. A stone on a Bergen photographs as a stone. And so the men who have spent 20 years making those things into weapons walk around, at the schoolhouse and everywhere else, looking to the untrained eye like exactly what Corbyn called them. Playground soldiers in fancy dress, and the untrained eye keeps looking until the number comes down the ladder from the tower in green ink and lands on the table between his hands. Ian Farrier flew back to Briz Norton on Friday night. He was in the mess at Stirling Lines on Saturday morning at 8:10, with a mug of tea, cold and black, and the same paperback of Homage to Catalonia open on his knee. He had turned 3 pages. He did not mention Fort Bragg, and nobody asked. The Chinook flight had lasted 11 hours. He had used 4 of them to sleep, and the rest to finish the book. Master Sergeant Wade Corbyn was still at the schoolhouse on Monday morning. He had not written up the after-action. Halbrook had. The record on the board had been changed. The number was 411, in permanent marker, in a hand that was not Corbyn's. The playground was quiet. The soldiers had gone home. If the quiet ones you have known, the ones drinking cold tea in the corner, while somebody louder holds the room, have ever been underestimated in front of you, you already knew how this story was going to end. There will be more of them, told properly, next.